Hi everyone and welcome to the second gameplay analysis video for the Group C and D of the Jojo's All-Star Battle League. Sorry for taking a bit longer to get this up than I should have, but recovery after this year's EVO took longer than I thought it would. Because of the time differences with me being Australian and all, I have to stay up all through the night to watch the finals, and so I ended up really tired and just couldn't do anything. Sorry about that. But let's not linger on that and get into the matches. As you can see with that big kick he took. I wanted to pause while it was still on, but couldn't. That big kick was a fairly decent sized normal. I'm assuming it was a standing medium because he got 2 hits here. So he probably started off with the light. But either way, it's still a pretty big normal, which is nice given how some of the stand users have got their super long stretchy autos and mudas and stuff. So having big normals and someone who can't do something like that is good for Wham. Ends with this command normal called then I'll take the pillar. You probably would have thought that that move would be the pillar normal, the pillar special he has, the OTGs, but it's actually like the clothesline that he used to take the pillar, which is the name. He takes a step forward when he does it, so you should be able to get it off anything you do. You shouldn't end up too far away for it. I don't know if it has any properties besides knocking down. Could be an overhead or something, but it looks like it hits too high for that. But knocking down is always nice. You'd probably want to do some combo instead though. I'm just ending with that. Oh, I don't know what wind mode actually does. I don't think they ever specifically said it, and it's not very. The effects from this aren't very clear. Like there's no immediately obvious moment in any of his matches where you're like, oh, that's what wind mode does. So, besides the invisibility during some specials, obviously, and the fact you can go into wind protector while in it and go fully invisible. So if anyone has any ideas, please pass them on to me. I'd really like to know what it does, because it is a fairly important part of what makes Wham Wham. We know what AC/DC's does, and Kars's does, because they were in their Famitsu articles, they specifically said it. Whereas Wham was done so long ago that I don't think he was done enough during the Famitsu article or something. That Kira's Otta type move. The Killer Queen's limbs don't stretch nearly as much as Star Platinum's or the World's. It does move forward later on in this match, but still the limbs not stretching is a pretty big deal because it makes it a lot shorter than the other ones, even with the forward movement. So it looks like Kira's meant to be a bit more short-ranged. This coin projectile takes ages, by the way, but it has a really nice arc and is really hard to see. I don't know if that makes it worth it, but hope so. This is Wham ending wind mode, by the way. This is a little recovery. That OTG move looks pretty nice because you can just put it on the end of any combo as well. Anyone who can just end any combo with a hard knockdown and has an OTG move should be able to just add that little bit of damage on their combos. Like Wham just does there with the pillar. That jump in was really big, by the way, and kind of looked like Wham kicked behind him, like Gen style, so it should be a really big cross-up as well as a really big jump in. That armor move that Kira did just before I paused, really badly timed at this super flash, looked really nice as well. So he's got a nice reversal he can use. Sheer hard attack moves really slowly there. I would have imagined it moving faster, but also this must be really weird for Wham if he can't see stand. This kick that Wham does, where he goes invisible during it, the beginning of it during wind mode. I don't know if that's just invisibility or if it adds invincibility as well. But either way, this kick is kind of weird because Wham doesn't have any long distance options besides Divine Sandstorm, and it doesn't go full screen if I remember right from the Tokyo Game Show build. But obviously they could have changed that anyway. But this kick puts them full screen. Maybe you're just meant to use it when you're close enough to the corner and just want to put them there. but mid-screen it seems useless, because then you have to just cover all that distance with Wham again, because there's nothing you can do to them when they're that far away. So, I guess it's just for corner carry. Or maybe punishing projectiles like that, slower ones where you can see the startup and then just throw it out. I hadn't really thought of that before, Wham just did it just then. But with Kira in particular, his coin being so slow that if you ever want to try it, Wham, that jump kick does have pretty nice range, so you can probably just kick him. The Wham AI really likes whiffing that pillar. That little flip punchy thingy looks like it's probably an overhead. Just because of the animation, it seems like one of those moves that could be an overhead. If Wham does an overhead, that's probably where most of his mix-up comes from. Unless Wind Mode does something particular that makes you want to use that for just making your opponent stop blocking. Like cars and ACDCs seems like that way of making them stop blocking. Because ACDCs makes you burn and cars makes your stuff unblockable. So maybe Wham's is like that, and I'm just being blind and can't notice it. Or he's got the overhead for that. One of the two. Or maybe both. And then Wham gets it anti-aired by the coin. Doesn't seem like a practical anti-air given the startup time. But if you're psychic, I guess it's a good anti-air. I'm sure he could detonate it somewhere along the path manually or something. He had the speech bubble come up before, I believe, which I assume made it detonate. Hopefully he can do something like leave it on the ground and then detonate it for a trap. But even then, with the startup time, I'm not sure if he'd have any combos where you could set it up, detonate it on their wake up. So I'm not really sure how Kira is going to develop as a character, because none of his moves seem to be that dead set on one particular thing. He seems very short range, so obviously he's going to want to get into your face with the coin being a slip projectile. But what he's going to want to do from there, I'm not too sure. Wham has some really big normals, so he's probably going to want to be more of a footsies character, just judging from how big his normals are. With that standing medium kick being quite long, and the jumpy kicky that pushes him full screen, and the clothesline as well, the command normal. All should be good for whiff punishing stuff, which would make it hard to do footsies with him, unless you've also got long normals, or a stand that can auto-aura in front of you. So, I'd assume that's what Wham's going to want to go for. He didn't have anything that looked particularly mixy-uppy except for that overhead, but it was only an average speed, so I wouldn't place any big bets on him being a huge mix-up character. I just assume he'd be footsies. But obviously, can't judge a character's playstyle just from the AI being silly. So this is just a guesstimate. Will be easier to try and guess stuff with the new characters coming out tomorrow, though, since they've got more matches. This probably goes on. Yeah, here we go. Okay, Jolyne vs Koichi now, both active stand users. Both of them look pretty unique, with traps and stuff. So, in case anyone wasn't aware, Koichi's active stand is Echoes 3, and he uses Echoes Act 1 and 2 in his specials when he hasn't got Echoes Act 3 out. This move's kind of weird, because I thought Koichi's Echoes Act 3 was fairly short range. I'm sure I remember it having a really short range, but maybe that was just the freeze. Echoes Act 1 and 2 are really long range, so I guess maybe I could be misremembering. But either way, this one goes really far. It looks like it goes out the same distance as about Star Platinum in the world, when you account for it going a bit further, but it's not having stretchy limbs. So that's always nice. Then we got this string barrier for Jolyne. It just stays there for quite some time. It might just be permanent, actually, until you hit it. But, so she's the second character with the barrier. Hers looks impossible to jump over, though, whereas Josuke's looked like if you got the exact right angle, you could jump over it with the peak of a jump. But this just keeps going to the sky, so there's obviously no way you could jump over this one. So you could use it as a pretty good wall. it only just hits you and puts you in hit stun. So I'm not sure how well you could use it for super ocky situations like Kakyoin used to have in Heritage, where you'd web and then instant dive kick and then wrap them up, because this just hits them. But you can still obviously set it up on your opponent's wake up and then make them block it and do whatever you want. It's just you won't have any impossible to block 50-50s like Kakyoin had. That string went really long, but I'm pretty sure the auto is part of the move. You might have a version where you don't auto afterwards, but it's still really long. So if you ever need to wish punish something that you couldn't get in range for otherwise, you can just throw that up, and then maybe put some cancel it, I guess, and go into combo. Jolyne's auto has really stretchy limbs, as you saw just then, so even though the stand itself doesn't move anywhere, the limbs going really far is really strong, especially if the actual punches don't have any hurtbox on them. If all you can do is clash and go into a Blazing Fists match, then just being able to put that in front of you would be really strong. Especially if you can stand rush that. That alt clashing with the Chun-Li kicks and going into a Blazing Fist match is, I'd assume, Jolyne's kicks not counting. Surely that Echoes Act 3 counts as for a Blazing Fist match, so that's my assumption. If there was any point where it didn't clash with the auto she has in stand mode, then I guess I'd have to assume Act 3 doesn't count, but that never happens in this, so I'm gonna go with the Chun-Li legs not counting. So as you can see, you can charge up the auto for Jolyne. I don't know what it'll do, but you can. So Jolyne has Spider-Man style web zip in stand mode while you're in the air. It looks like she can go in any direction, so it's probably more like Spencer, actually. But the fact that it looks like web made me bring up web zip. So we don't know if she can block during it, but it moves really fast and lets you change your jump angle in any number of directions. So should be a really strong movement option. This boing trap looks really good. I'll probably bring it up again in a bit. And Jolyne gets boing. This that I won't forgive you move with the sounds going up crumples. So there you go. That's what Koichi can do for combos and stuff when he's not in stand mode. That move that Koichi just did, it seems like a burst, because he did it while he was in hit stun. It might have just been preemptively done, I didn't notice, but it did really look like it was done in hit stun. It does knock Koichi away and damage him, but being able to burst in a game where most of the characters can't is a really ridiculously powerful option, because everyone else is just going to have to take that damage. But hopefully there's ways against it, like if you see it coming, you can just react and block it and then punish him. But he does get blown away as well. I don't know. It does damage as well to you, which is ridiculous for a burst. So that move's really worrying. I'm just gonna have my fingers crossed and hope there's something against it. Otherwise, Koichi seems completely ridiculous based off that one move alone. That flame projectile looks really good, given the nice arc it has going up and the fact projectiles don't go away when you get hit. So you can kind of just throw it up on their wake up and then punish, do whatever you want to them. Those normals where the arm gets sent into string look quite not nice for their length. I'm sad this gets blocked. So you can do her aura in the air as well. Goes almost straight down actually, which is pretty nice. Yet another way to change your altitude for Jolyne. Oh, actually, just before, I meant to mention this. Jolyne slowly lost health while she was on fire. Wasn't that much, but something to note. This effect Jolyne gets on her when she gets hit by this Act 3 freeze doesn't look like it slows her down at all, so I'm just going to assume it prevents you from jumping, because she never jumps full on it, which is pretty amusing for her animations like her backdash where she slightly hops off the ground. But not being able to jump in this game isn't as powerful as it would be in 2D games, because you can still kind of sidestep around, whereas in 2D games you would just lose the ability to get through projectiles at all, unless you have a projectile invincible move. So it's not as strong, but it's still taking away your opponent's movement is strong, regardless. That move looked like it was unsafe from Koichi. I assume it's a command normal, not a special. That super hard heat attack looks like it has a hitbox for miles, because the softball does actually get thrown and then returned. So should be good for whiff punishing in pretty much anything, or winning projectile walls if you feel like it. So the boing sends you miles up in the air. He has enough time to activate Echo's Act 3 and do whatever he wants. So maybe you could do the Kakyoin style Oki with Koichi, with just neutral jump, instant overhead, if he has any jumping normal that works like that, by putting the boing on top of them and then jumping. And the only downside would be if they block it, you can get punished, whereas Kakyoin couldn't. So it's a bit more all-in, but maybe you could do it. If he doesn't have any jumping normal that hits at the right angle to instant overhead, this conversation ends here, but could be possible. You should get some cool combos off it anyway. I could maybe see something like the Yurusanai that crumples, then putting the boing and making them boing, and then summoning Echo's Act 3 and Act 3 freezing them. That'd be really cool. But it's obviously all here. This is the first time up we got, because Jolyne refused to go in and just sat behind her string barrier and zipped to the ground, as if Koichi was going to go in, and then Koichi just didn't go in. So, poor Jolyne. But Koichi, it looks really interesting with the huge variety of stuff he has with the 3 different acts. The first 2 and the third one both function so differently that gives him quite a variety in moves. He has some neat projectiles like that flame ball, and the trap as well, but it seemed like they could do some cool stuff on your opponent's wake up. Even though I theorized that combo, it probably doesn't work. I'm pretty sure there was one point where he did try it and the trap just whiffed. But that could be the AI mistiming it. I'd like to see it happen, because it sounds like a cool looking combo. But even if it doesn't, during the crumple you probably have enough time to go in Echo's Act 3 and freeze them. If you do, you can pretty much guarantee 3 freeze of any situation. Or you could just use the super, if you can't call Act 3. It's not like that's such a big deal having to use a bar. Jolyne doesn't have as much variety, but she does have some really cool stuff with the long normals and this web barrier and the zip as well. I mentioned before how dive kicks changing the angle of your jump is kind of what makes them so powerful. So being able to move around like this in a game where no one can even air dash is, well, cars can air dash, but not that many characters can air dash. It's certainly not a universal mechanic. Means that she has so much more air movement than most of the other casts that it's going to be a lot harder to anti-air her. You definitely won't be able to guarantee, oh, she's jumping at me, I'll just DP her, like you can most of the other characters. Because if she zips and you whiff your DP, she'll probably be able to punish you. Especially just going straight down. Just jumping and going straight down continuously for a bit behind the web barrier. And then eventually jumping will test your opponent's reaction. Though the jumps are probably a bit too slow for that, actually. And the She seems like she has some good whiff punishes. Obviously, she has some stuff that goes really far, like the Hachi's attack and the string along the ground that wraps your opponent up. It'd be really cool if you could put some cancel out and then dash in and get a combo, but it does. If they are at the maximum distance of it, you probably won't be able to dash in time. But even distance dependent, being able to get stuff off that's pretty cool. It is unsafe though, so you can't really just fish with it. You have to see something and then react to it. Or you could just fish with it if you're YOLO. So yeah, that's Jolyne and Koichi as well. So we've finished all the beginning looks at the Group C and D characters. Rohan probably looks the best, I think, so far. But that's probably just because the AI does the most with him. Or Koichi, based off his burst. Hopefully there is something against the burst there. So we'll probably be able to get 2 more matches done before the group's E and F stuff comes out. If anyone has any specific requests, stuff they want to have me look at, then please post in the comments. I'm still amazed anyone actually likes these videos, so thank you for all for watching. And please subscribe if you haven't yet, and watch the next one when it comes out. I'm not really good at these endings yet. I can't believe I hadn't thought of a script yet.